In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use a halftone filter effect. There's two ways that you could make your shapes. You could do it with the ellipse tool, shortcut is U, or you can use these marquee tools up here. Shortcut is M, there's rectangular, elliptical. I'm going to do the elliptical one. You want to do it in your document, because if you do it off to the side like this, technically you'll have like a square line. It'll cut all this area off, and if you want to move it, it just doesn't make sense. So you want to do it on a new layer. So at the bottom of your layers window, you just click on the little paper icon, and you can label if you want by double clicking on it. I'm just going to call it halftone, so I know where it is. Alright, so I'm going to draw my shape out, and one thing that you can do is you want to refine the edge and make it feathered. So if you go to refine edge right here at the top and just click on that, this little dialog box comes up, and you want to change the feathering. Okay, so you can, as you move it, it's going to preview to what it looks like. So obviously the higher you get, the more feathering that happens. And the feathering, when you do a halftone effect, looks really nice on the exterior. You're more than welcome to keep it really low if you want to have a nice hardness to it. I'll hit OK. And you won't see anything take effect because we don't have any colors in there. There's nothing in there. So what you have to do is you have to tell Photoshop that you want to put a color in there. So if you go over to your layer and I click on this empty space and I do Option, Alt Option Delete, it'll automatically give me a black foreground. So maybe you don't want a black foreground, you can change it red and then pop it in with the paint bucket. Or you can put a gradient on it. So you can choose the gradient tool and literally just click and drag. You can choose your gradient up here, they have defaults, or again you can pick your own by double clicking on the little boxes at the bottom. Okay, so I'll pick a color and then hit OK and then click and drag to set my gradient in place. All right, so this looks fine for now. So now all I want to do is add a halftone effect. So you go to Filter, Pixelate, Color Halftone. Now I'm not going to show you all of these, but these are options as well that you can do. So once you go to Color Halftone, this little box comes up, and make sure all your channels are set to 0. The lower the number, the smaller the dots that'll appear, and the higher the number, the larger the dots. So we can start out by doing number 4, and then you hit OK and it sets in place. Now if you don't like that, you can go back up to Filter, go to Pixelate, Color Halftone, and I can make it bigger if I want, and hit 25. Then to do Command D, I can change the opacity of it too. I can change the blending modes over here. You can do multiply. Screen is a nice one. Doesn't look great with this one. Let's see, hard light. I kind of like multiply. Multiply takes out some of the white. And I can also change the opacity up here. So I might lower the opacity a little bit. Okay, now I can do Command D to deselect, and you can see there's a nice feathered edge around it. Now, in Photoshop, you move your layers as well. So I want this to sit behind my tower here, my sound tower. So I'm just going to click the layer, and I'm going to scroll down until I see that layer pop up. I think it's up here a little bit. No, that's something else. Just set it here for now. And you'll see it'll move behind everything. And then I can get my move tool and I can move it around to where I want it to be. And actually like the way it looks over here because it counterbalances out the texture from my rock layer over here. So then I've just added another halftone effect. So I can change the opacity if I want it darker over here. Maybe I want to change the overlay. Okay, so you can play with all of those to adjust it to how you like it. I'll keep it at multiply. So you have to do some sort of filters. I can also go back up to filter, pixelate, and I can crystallize something. There'll be a preview that pops up. The higher you get, you see how it starts to crystallize your shapes. And then you hit OK, and then you can see there's these little crystals that appear.